Howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast number 336, Biz 23. I certainly do appreciate you dropping on by. Your time is important, and I want to make sure that I give you as much as I can of mine to help you get out behind that camera. So I appreciate you stopping by. You also appreciate the emails that came in this week. Thanks, guys, so much. I want to thank my good friend at Bedford's Camera, bedfords.com. These guys they just keep rocking it. They make it too easy for me to keep buying things. That there's a yin and a yang to that, but I do thank you for that inventory, the pricing, the quick service, and the knowledge base. Finding these little doodads every so often, it's really nice to make a phone call and kind of describe what you're looking for. And they go, well, we could do this or that. And boy, it works every time. They'll do the same thing for you. And when you check out, you're going to get that Moose discount. As long as you say Moose sent me or Moose discount, you'll see that 5% back. It's just a great thing. And hey, this month coming up in 2 weeks, Arkansas, I'm coming, baby. I got a brand new presentation on aviation. We're going to talk about photography and planes, having a great time, making a difference, sharing photographs. Oh, thank you, Bedfords, for putting it on. And for Nikon, we're going to have a great evening. So come on by. Thanks so much, Bedfords, for sponsoring the Moose Podcast. Hey, watch the website. I've got another great aviation event coming up in April in Houston. We're doing an evening presentation. Then we're doing a day shoot at the Houston wing of the CAF. Boy, I'm telling you, aviation's cranking up. The spring's here. So come on by. We're going to have a great time. So let's make some images. Well, let's get right into this episode, Biz 23. So the business of photography, whether you're coin collections or fashion or sports or cars or wildlife or aviation, the nuts and bolts don't change. Some of the specifics sometimes can, but the nuts and bolts don't change. Had a couple emails in the last couple weeks asking about the business. So I thought I'd take a little time to spitball a few things and maybe, clear the air. Now, the number of people who have said, I want to make money from my photography definitely outstrips the number of people say, I never want to make money from my photography. Those people who I think should be in business, and that's their first, excuse. Really, the bottom line is defining that thing called business to start with. Now, some of this I have talked about in previous podcasts, but believe it or not, some things have from long ago have finally, I figured them out. Let me start with, when I started out back in the old days, Model T going down the road in the dark room, sniffing that fixer. No, talking about slides. They used to say that before you put out your shingle, you should have a minimum of 20,000 images in your slide files. And up until just very recently, I always thought that was just based on one thing. The old adage, you can't sell from an empty cart. So the idea, I thought, was those 20,000 images, that you would have enough images to take care of clients, especially in the days of slides where you didn't have dupes like you now. You can make copies of an image and send out hundreds of them. They're still the original. No, I thought about that for a while, and then I realized that, one other adage that I was told when I was starting out, that I have to tell you, when I was 20 years old, really hard for me to swallow this one. But it came from a real trusted source, so I never forgot it. And in the photography business, Reg said, it will all work out. It will all work out. Now, bring it back to modern times, these emails. Folks want, it's not past tense, it's current, want to make enough money from their photography to pay for their photography, right? Now, if you look at the definition of hobby and professional, you'll see right off the bat that there is a collision here when someone says, I want to make money from my photography, and it's just a hobby, right? Because otherwise, you instantly go and you're a business, and a business is a business. Okay. If you're a professional, you're in business. Well, how does it will all work out? And 20,000 images before you put your shingle out. How does that work or not work with I want to make money from my images? Well, that's that collide hit my head, and well, it's kind of here it is. So let's just go with the and bear with me for 1 second. Let's go with the I want to make money from my photography as a business. Okay, so you're going to first of all find out that you wish you had a 9 to 5 job because you're going to work a minimum of 80 hours a week minimum, right? And for me it's 365 24/7. But I love it, but that's different. So you're going to find you got a lot of work and you're going to have to produce those images. And there is no greater pressure on the planet that than knowing that every time you go click with the camera, you've got to make money. And that pressure you don't want to have. I'm here to tell you, if you have that pressure, you're toast. You're screwed. You will never succeed in this profession ever. Now, if you take that my friend's Reg's advice and that it all will work out, how does that change things? Well, when Sharon and I first moved to the ranch, well, Sharon and I like to buy homes that we need to give some TLC to. And there are times where I see these projects and I just cannot get them done fast enough to my satisfaction to move forward. And within the first week of moving here, I met a neighbor, and Jack. I was talking to Jack about a couple of things. He goes, real simple to me. He said, "Hey, don't get your panties in a wad. They will all get done with time. So just give yourself time." And then it clicked on me. Right, it all works out. So those 20,000 images, that's not necessarily just to have inventory to sell from. It is the basics of business of when you're starting out, knowing that it takes money to make money so that you have to spend money. Now, where that money comes from originally, I'm not going to get into in this episode, but you have to give yourself that time. Time costs money. You have to give yourself that gear. Gear costs money. You have to give yourself the computer. That takes money. And all those combined have to take time to mature in you, the photographer. So then, if you are thinking about making images from your photograph, you have to realize that it all works out. But it doesn't all work out in an hour or 7 hours or a year. You have to give yourself time. You have to mature in all aspects of the business, not just behind the camera, to be successful. And one of the major things that you have to mature about is taking that deep breath and realizing that if you just think you're going to go somewhere and take a picture and then listen to all the bad advice on the web and instantly make money, and then all of a sudden, yeah, it don't work that way. I'm telling you from personal experience. I'm going to pick on my favorite thing, aviation, for this because it is so accessible. It's so exciting. It's so much fun. It really only takes one body and lens. And it only takes a very inexpensive body and maybe a 300 millimeter lens at most to get the shots. But in that, you start learning a whole lot. You learn a boatload, like where to put your ass when you want to shoot, the time, the day, the attitude and the gesture of the plane, color, clouds, all those things I talk about in all my classes, and so much more. And if you think you're going to go to your first air show and instantly knock it out of the park and get that shot that's going to get that money, yeah, you got something else coming. If you think it's going to take air shows, you got something else coming. It takes time. It all does work out. But to get to those 20,000 images that you're going to market and make money from, it just does not happen overnight. So in 2023, has the business model for the photographer changed from when I started out in 1880? Geez Louise, Moose. In in 1981. Sometimes I feel that old, folks. Let me tell you, could be today. Anyway, from 2023, the business model hasn't changed from 1981. You might say, well, you were shooting film back then. So what? Shooting digital today. You're still arranging elements. You're still writing with light, that thing called photograph. Okay. You are, a 35 millimeter lens was a 35 millimeter lens. I mean, some things you might say have changed, but in the business of photography, nothing has changed. Okay. Nothing. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of terms that get bandied around. There's a lot of fads that come and go. But a photograph is a photograph, and a good photograph presented by someone who has passion for it to a buyer is the same today as it was in 1881 or 1981. That has not changed. Now, the excuses, I think they've grown. The availability of seeing things on the web and saying I'm not worthy, I think that's grown. But the people that I deal with and the people who are buying my aviation images, all right, that market has done nothing but grow with time because all things do work out. And that's probably the hardest thing to swallow as a photographer. Because if you're creative and with all the things that are out there, it's really easy to point at this, that, or the other for the reason why it didn't work out. But it still, just like anything else in photography, be it the business photography, the capturing photography, the processing photographer, it still comes down to you. It is up to you. How do you want to proceed as a photographer in business? Now, if you want on-demand satisfaction, which social media kind of really ramps up, you're toast. It ain't going to happen. All right. If you want instant satisfaction in a paycheck as a photographer and you're self-employed and you're following your dream and your passion, you want to take that hobby and make money from it. Yeah, you're going to be disappointed if you want instantaneous gratification. It ain't going to happen. It's going to take more time and money than you can really fathom. Now, I'm not telling you that to scare you. I'm telling you that because you can do it. I know everyone listening can do it. Back in my day, in the old days, and not talking about 1881, but 1981, the one catchphrase, the number one excuse that was used nonstop was, it's too competitive. It's too competitive. I got so tired of that. It was like this assumption that this magazine needed one picture of a crow and that 1,000 people are going to know this at one time and everybody's going to send one crow picture. So then the photo buyer has to pick the one. And so it don't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. The preconceived ideas are just killing this industry in so many ways. The number of people ask or assume that manufacturers give their ambassadors free gear is still prevalent. And it's like, seriously, if you're in business, you have to have income and you have to have expenses. No matter what size your company is, the biggest on the planet to the smallest, because there's this thing called Mr. Taxman. It's the way the game is played, and it is a game. I'm sure every photographer in the middle of December talks to their accountant and says, all right, what do I got to do? And you find out if you got to sell some gear so you have some income. You got to find out if you need to buy some gear so you have some expenses. What do you need to do to minimize that tax burden? And if you think that, just think about the process here. If you are a photographer and you're given camera gear, you've got to declare that as income. And if you're declaring that income and you don't have any expenses, you're going to pay for that gear twice rather than just going and buying it from a store. I mean, hey, you've got to think of this process as a way of feeding your passion. Because in that way, it all works out. And the process, the business, be it 2023 or whatever year, is that time is the most important, most expensive, most precious element in the business, time. And that time, not only behind the camera, but in your head, thinking through and giving yourself more time, not thinking up excuses, but giving yourself more time to make tomorrow's photography better than today's. So the business for 23, I mean, you understand, I've been thinking about this 20, starting out with 20,000 images for a long time. And I always thought it was just like I mentioned, can't sell from an empty cart. But really, no, it is giving yourself the time to invest in yourself, your craft, your gear, everything, so that when you have those 20,000 images, you're then ready to understand the process of selling an image and making money from your photography. Does that make sense? I hope it makes some sense. And for somebody out there, it will finally click because I understand all too well, more than anybody's going to understand, the pressure of making money from photography and all the things and ramifications go into that process. But as one who's gone to the bottom of the valley and climbed back up to the top of the peak only to roll back down again, and done that a few times through a whole bunch of different economic scenarios in this world, I'm here to tell you, you all can do it. You all can do it. It all does work out. Photography business in 2023. You can do it. Thanks for stopping by, folks. Have a great week shooting, and remember to make every click your story.